Hello, everybody. All right, I'm going to jump into it. I've got some stuff to do today, and I hope y'all will just trickle in as I make some signage. Today is one of those days where we are just making it work. It's a make it work day. I am boothing, like Artist Alley vendor booth type thing for the first time in like 2 years. My kiddo's school is having a winter boutique. Well, her charter. We technically homeschool, but they help us with all of the stuff for the state, and so it's nice to have that support. And so it's fun to be able to give back and do stuff for the school as well. It's also going to be nice to be out there with my like target demographic, because if you don't know, I have a series of self-published children's books. So what better place, sorry for all the crinkling, I got all this brand new paint to open. What better place to kind of connect with my target demo and hopefully sell some children's books, because I got that other hustle going on. Because I don't know, if you hang out with any artists, they like don't settle on one thing, and the joke around here is I'm Catherine Everything. You can't make me choose anything. So it's kind of the running gag around here. But anyway, it's one of my I love everything that I get to do. I think that's one of the most rewarding things about being kind of a polymath and an artist, and just I get the freedom to play. And so writing and self-publishing, writing, illustrating, kind of creating the whole world, and then self-publishing a series of children's books has been super duper rewarding. Not like just or even in the like financial capacity, because it's not there yet. It's still a very new venture. Like, I do well for myself, but it's not like I'm not at the point where like the brand sells itself. So it's definitely still very grassroots. I don't know. It's kind of like being new here on Twitch, where like the discovery phase is actually really kind of a fun place to be in. And it means that like for these books and everything, I'm very much on the ground, like at book fairs and book signings and conventions, and like I miss the whole like anime con scene. That was always really fun being in that, because of course, like, I joke that I like grew up in the convention scene. We all kind of did, like us 30 something millennials. Like, anime cons have been like a huge part, if that's your genre. But like, to be a parent and be attending as a vendor, and then have something for like the younger generation that's there, or for the parents that are there shopping for like their other kids that maybe aren't as into anime or whatever. It's been kind of a fun way to bridge the gaps. And I don't know, it's been cool. Like, it's fun to, like I said, it's fun to connect with people. It's fun to just do things. And it's fun to bring my books out. And the books are very STEAM and STEM based. So if you're unfamiliar, STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and math. And STEAM is the same thing, but with art integrated. So science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And I'm very much a believer in the interconnectivity of all subjects, that you're not well-rounded. I mean, obviously without being well-rounded, but like, it's better to study all of the disciplines than to like just focus, especially on the like, I hate the term colder sciences or the colder subjects, but like, I don't know, I've never met anyone that hasn't been enriched by seeing things through different perspectives. Like, I love seeing the art in science, and I love seeing the science in art. And it can make better, like neural pathways, and then just better environment for learning, if you're kind of allowed to connect them. And so it's one of those things where I feel like that's kind of how we used to teach. And then all the like arts funding and everything got cut, and so we took it out, and then we realized like, uh-oh, that was a bad idea. We need to put it back in. And so it's hard because I don't see it getting back as much, unless you like go to these fancier like magnet schools and everything. And I really wanted to do something about that kind of accessibility gap. And so that's kind of half what inspired the books. Or, I mean, like, the books are really like kind of a culmination of all of my everything coming together. Like, I'm a classically trained animator. That's actually what I went to school for. That's what I have my degree in. And so, like, I loved the character design classes, and I loved the world building, and I loved all of that came with, like, animation school. And then I kind of had a change in life goal and did a lot of teaching, like camp counselor, art teacher, type teaching. I was going for my master's in education, before life went whap, whap. But like, that never changes. Like, if you love teaching, you love teaching. And so, like, throughout the years, like, no matter what, I've made sure to teach classes. My best friend and I, we had a co-op teaching thing that we went around and did classes. It's called Straight Outta Art School. It was really fun. Like, before the whole, like, global panini thing here, like, it was really cool to continue to teach, especially like in my local community, where we do have kind of an underfunded and underserved community, and we had the needs for accessible art. And then when I became a parent, there was, like, that was a whole other like thing. It was wonderful. It was terrifying. It was a whole thing. And I really felt like all my like dreams and hopes and ventures were kind of at a weird crossroads. And I wanted to find a way to like do it all, which, again, welcome to Catherine Everything. I don't want to have to give anything up. And that's kind of where that like started. Is I was trying to figure out who I was, and I had tried so hard to put everything in neat little boxes and have everything have its own brand. And I wanted something that like tied them all together. And that's where the like need to write a children's book came. Was like, how can I be a teacher when I maybe don't have time to teach as much because I'm a mom? And then what is there something that I like want to instill in my kid? And you know, how can I like kind of create that world and that legacy? And then like, I still am an animator. I'm still a storyteller, you know, visual and otherwise. And I didn't want to like leave that behind. And so a children's book seemed like the absolute perfect intersection. And I'm really happy that I went for it, because I now have 2 out in the series. And I'll talk about the series here in a little bit, but it's been, even though it had to be backburnered a little bit just with the last couple years being the last couple years that they've been, I've still put out 2 books, 2 fully illustrated, completely original story and activity books in the last 3 years. And that's with 2 of the years being the way they've been. So, like, I'm excited to get back into it. Like I said, it kind of got backburnered. In just the way that I like couldn't travel during all this, and like obviously that wasn't the priority. It's still not the priority, like to go to conventions and stuff. You know, we've got to get the world healed and got to make it safe. But you know, like local events while I'm watching are like our numbers, and you know, we have a good vaccination rate and everything, and then I can help support local education. That's different. But anyway, so this is my first jump back in like nearly 2 years, and that's crazy because I've only been doing this part for 3. Like the books have been around for, like I said, the 3 years of the characters and the whole like creation process. Like that took a while, which is, you know, not a problem. I remember I first took the idea and kind of the crowdfunding marketing to Decon back in 2015. And now it's 2021. So like the project's been a project for a while, but the first book was published 20, maybe this is 3 years ago, 2018. And then the second book came out shortly after. So it's been cool to do that. So what I'm working on today, in case you're kind of wondering, which feel free to do, and feel free to ask questions in chat. I love chatting. What I'm working on today is I had a sign that was very last minute. We'd flown to Seattle to go to Geek Girl Con right at the end of 2019, so kind of right before everything. And it had to be something that like could be broken down and like taped back together, just because we were so tight on space. Like we were flying with a suitcase, and I had to bring an entire booth. And we had our kid and everything. So like it was fun. It was, I don't know if I could pack that much in that much space and juggle that again. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, I was crazy. But you know what? I did it. It's done. I can't take it back. So, I had a sign that, had to be able to be packed up really quickly and made out of like pretty much tape and cardboard, and it deserved better. And so what I'm hoping to do today is, do it better. So I'm using just the same, like these are just those like cardboard letters, you get it, like Joanne's, and just trying to make it a little nicer than it was. And I'm trying to paint without having any water to clean my brush, like a true professional. All right, so I'm just going to get some water real quick. Much better. Do I want? So, one of the things that was really important to me in the books is that all of the characters are non-binary. They use they/them pronouns, and it was mostly to escape the kind of trappings of gender roles in children's books, because it's kind of ridiculous. But more so to kind of tackle some like big feelings without them being immediately assigned to a sex or gender, or, even like race, or just, it's one of those where like, especially with like big feelings, like being sensitive or being brutish or being, like there's a lot of these, they're not negative emotions, because all feelings are completely valid. They have a time and a place, but big feelings. And one, they're not really talked about in children's books, or if they are, it's, you know, it's a bully that's mean, or it's this, that, and the other. But we don't really talk about, like, kind of coming into new situations and, like, being free to have a reaction. And it might not be, like, our best reaction, but it happens. And so I wanted these characters, each book centers on a one theme. So, like, they're all alliterative. So the Monsters is the title of the books. And so, like, the first one is Muse Monsters, and it talks about art. And hi, Emotional Support Unicorn. Sorry, I got distracted. So happy to catch you on the stream. Looks great. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I am working on a sign for my children's book booth that I'm going to for the first time in like 2 years. So I'm just kind of sprucing everything up. So thank you for being here. I was saying that the books themselves, they'll have alliterative titles. So the Muse Monsters book is about art, the Munchie Monsters book is about food, and so on and so forth. And each book has like 4 main characters, and they all approach kind of the who, what, when, where, why of each subject. So like with the art one, for example, like obviously the point is like, what is art? Why is art? But all the characters come into art from like different levels of experience and different, like, just kind of a different place emotionally. And as much as we like understand as adults that art is so very much about emotion, I don't think it's something we really teach to kids. Like, yeah, you can draw when you're happy, but like, it's very rare to like, outside of like art therapy and outside of like, you know, people who really understand art, I think it's very rare to be like, hey, you're mad. You want to like smash some clay. You want to make some process art. I think that's something that's just not like quite in the zeitgeist. And so I'm really trying to kind of bring that to, again, a more accessible level, and bring in just, you know, experiences from working with, you know, everyone from like regular kids and troubled kids and brilliant kids and, you know, kids with learning disabilities and just kids. I mean, like, kids are kids. They have reactions to things. And so it was really important to me that then the water didn't get muddied with these reactions by having the characters be like boys and girls. And then, you know, I didn't want to bring in any sort of like, okay, like the white girl is fussy, or, you know, any like racial stereotypes or anything in there as well. So like, one, making the monsters made it fun for me. I'm, like I said, I'm a character designer. Like, that's the fun for me. But it also allowed these, you know, big feelings and these big explorations to be made without any sort of like, you know, bias, whether or not you kind of thought about it or not. And so then, you know, having the monsters, the characters use they, them pronouns is a really easy way to, one, just kind of, again, introduce that into the zeitgeist and not make it a big deal. You know, the more people get used to seeing a singular they, and just using it, means that it's more important and accessible for like everyone. It's just not a big deal, and we can respect pronouns and all that. But then it, like I said, when you're approaching something difficult, I wanted the books to ultimately be like a springboard. They don't necessarily go in any order, and each one like stands alone. So my hope was, sorry, I remember I do have to remind myself and my audience that I am a parent, and so like I do have to check in on my kiddo, and so sometimes I will get distracted and have to do that. So my apologies there. But anyway, each book is a springboard. As so like the hope was that if I had the whole series, like say at a library or at a school or whatever, or even just available for purchase, if a kid goes to their parents and they say, hey, caregiver, I want to learn about X, or like, hey, we just went to a museum, like, why is art important, or what does art mean, that the parent wouldn't have to be like at a loss. I think what's so endlessly fascinating but also absolutely terrifying is we have access to knowledge 24/7. Like, we can just Google, we can be like, yo, Google, what is art? And oops, I have to be quiet because I don't want my Google to answer me. But like, where do you even start with that? You know, depending on like the age level of your kid, and then the experience you may or may not have. And then you can be a professionally trained artist and then still flick paint all over your like best pants. Cool. You know, like, where do you start? Yes, you can Google these things, but like, I think it's fun to, one of the things we talk about a lot on this channel is like creativity within limitations, and that limits are not necessarily a bad thing. And so having like constraints and guidelines and like a path for people to like just start off on. Like I kind of always say that I can't give you all the answers, but I can point you in the right direction. And so even just narrowing down that like overwhelming sense of just like Googling a subject you may not be familiar with, and then giving it like comfortable characters and like a familiar setting, I think is really important. So like, okay, taking the art one, the characters go to a museum and there's four main characters. They're all approaching art from a different point of view. There's a character that's a total know-it-all. There's a character that like wants to get into it, but like everyone kind of has their own ideas of how they should make art. And, you know, there's a character that just absolutely is not having it at all whatsoever. And, you know, obviously, like, I do try and read in my genre and make sure that, you know, like, my books are unique, but also that, you know, like, I like to read children's books just as much as I like to write them. I do have a kid, but even without the like excuse of having a small human, I like to, you know, see what's out there and see what we're using as these teaching tools. And I hadn't really seen too many books where like a main character was like not that enthusiastic about it, unless it was kind of a joke. Like there's been a lot of like really funny kind of grumpy books lately, and I'm down for that. There's like the whole Bruce series where there's this grumpy bear who accidentally adopts some geese. So like I'm here for the grump. But like to kind of just have it casually mixed in where it's not just like, this is the grumpy guy. He's grumpy, but he's got a heart of gold. It just reminded me of working with like all the kids I've ever worked with in my life. There's going to be a kid who thinks your project is stupid. There's going to be a kid who's like, I've done this before. There's going to be a kid who's like, I don't want to do this. And I kind of wanted to normalize, you know, that's normal. You know, especially like having taught so many kids different parts about art. Like if I had $1 for every time some kid is like, this is stupid, or why is this in a museum, or this looks like a baby did it, like I'd be retired and I could probably, you know, like live very comfortably off of that. So like I know that this is what the kids are asking, and then if, you know, if an adult is maybe raised in that kind of same way, or they don't have the answers, or maybe museums are intimidating, then I think it just kind of gets perpetuated that maybe just artists are weird, and I don't know, it's just a blue square, I don't get it, let's just not learn about it. And I obviously want to challenge that, you know, being one, an art teacher, two, an artist, and three, just someone who likes to shake things up, and have people be like, no, like stay. There's a reason for this. If you just try it, you'll, you know, it might not be your thing. Like that's another thing too, kind of dismantling the idea that everything has to be like, you have to be perfect at it the first time and it like has to be your thing. Like, no, you can like fail and just try things. And that's actually part of discovering who you are. So like the characters are all approaching it from these different points of view, and it's, you know, at the end they all kind of realize that they got maybe something out of it, and it didn't, and I know how to spell S-T-E-R-I. It didn't have to be groundbreaking. Like it was for one character, but it didn't have to be for the next. And I think that's something that's kind of oversimplified too in children's media. That's like, wow, I tried art one time and I'm an artist. This is what I'm going to be when I grow up. And it's like, that's great if you know what you want to do. Like I am never going to stand in the way of somebody knowing what the heck they want to do with their life. That's fantastic. But I don't know, as someone who's 30 and feels like I kind of just am just now figuring things out with all the cards on the table, with all the things I've thought I wanted to do, you know, there's also just something to be said in giving it a good, honest try and not having to be immediately an expert, immediately like, okay, cool, you tried this one time, you played baseball once, you're gonna go to the MLB. You know, like it doesn't have to be that like kind of, you know, My Little Pony cutie mark, just instant love with it. Like, you know, even as an artist who is still an artist and probably will be an artist forever, like I struggle with art a lot, and I wanted to show that that's okay, that, you know, there's going to be years where I questioned everything that I drew or did or said, and, you know, wanted to get better, wanted to work harder. And, you know, we talk a lot on this channel about the like value of uncertainty and in like finishing things. And so, like, of course, these are like 28-page children's books. It can't go into all of this, but even just having it very simply being like, cool, thanks for trying, I think is a really positive message. And then, you know, like for like for the parents and the guardians, one of the things that I included in all of the books is each monster leads a self-guided activity at the back. So it's a storybook, and then there's activities in the back. And all the activities are about the process. So their process art, not about the finished product. Because I think we put a lot of pressure on making something for the sake of making that finished picture perfect, Pinterest perfect thing. And sometimes, and most of the time, honestly, especially with kids, the best learning just comes from trying something, making a big old mess, and then trying it again by changing a variable, or, adding or subtracting something new, or trying it with new knowledge. And I think as adults, we don't realize like how important repetition is to kids' development. And that was one of the things that, like, as I've taught and, kind of been able to study is, like they say that it takes like 400 repetitions of doing something for the brain to make that connection, but only 20 times if it's done during play. And it's like, wow, that's a huge number. But then, like, as adults, can we think of the last time we did something even 20 times? Like, have you sat down and done a coloring sheet 20 times, or learned how to paint 20 times before you said, oh, this is or isn't for me? No, we normally try it once, maybe twice or thrice, and that's kind of it. We don't even really give it that chance anymore. And I was talking about this on both my stream and a couple other streams that, just in the chat as a viewer, where, like, the opportunity to fail and experiment is not something that we really give people, especially in and it's hard because obviously I rely on social media and all of these things to do what I do. But, I do realize that there are problems with kind of that instant gratification, or here's a 20-second TikTok of me working on a 20-hour painting. I also do YouTube, and so I'll take 20 hours of footage and edit it down to 20 minutes for YouTube. And then to put it on my Instagram reel, I then edit that down to 20 seconds. And even if I had shown the 20 hours of footage, that doesn't show the years that I put in to be able to do it in 20 hours. Never mind 20 minutes, never mind 20 seconds. And that can be really discouraging when you're like, oh my gosh, well, it just looks so easy. Well, yeah, when you edit it out to that level, of course it's easy. And so then, no one, not to say no one wants to see you fail, because obviously there is a whole part of the internet for fails, but then it's they almost have to be funny. There's this weird middle ground where you're just experimenting, that people just don't know kind of what to do with. And so, kind of turning the tables on that, especially while kids are young and they're not necessarily doing everything for the performance or the documentation or whatever, just turning it on its head and making guardians and parents realize how important process art is. I think it takes some of that weird, I don't want to say judgment because it's not quite the right word, but as a parent, repetition isn't, or as an adult, sorry, repetition isn't exciting. And so to kind of shift it up and call it process art all of a sudden sounds a lot better than, hey, just let your kid do this 75 times because that's what they need to do. And so by having the projects be repeatable too, one, I hope it feels like good value, because you've always got to kind of think of that marketing. I got a big marketing brain from, my kind of years at the day job. But also just, how can I get people excited about having their kids do process art? And I'm hoping that, that is something that sticks with them. It's cool if the monsters are hey, this is going to help your kid, and this is fun. And look, you got these 4 activities in the back that you can do over and over again. What a great value. I hope it kind of keeps parents from just kind of wandering to the Pinterest product work where you're just, gluing cotton balls on a sheep and calling it a day. And there's definitely a time and a place for product art. I like to make cutesy things. I like to make decorations. I like to make that. But I think if you're going for just straight learning, it definitely needs to be more focused on the process. So that's my 20-minute rant on product art or process art. But even with the food one, one of the activities is one of my favorites actually, is making a cookie cutter from aluminum foil, tin foil, that you have in your kitchen, and just experimenting where you've got the same dough and then you're using safe materials for kids and adults, and you're just making different shapes. And so then it's okay, well, first start with any shape you want. And then, oh, can you spell your name? You know, you can turn it into numbers and letters learning very quickly. And then who doesn't want to like eat your math lesson? Because that's awesome. And then, you know, if you experiment with the dough, like, does it, you know, you can get into the whole like physics part of it where, oh, you know, does freezing your dough beforehand, before you introduce it to the heat, does that make a difference? How can we, you know, manipulate shape? And then, of course, like everyone knows that, you know, baking really is science. You've got, you know, the Maillard reaction, you've got all sorts of chemical reactions going on. Like, baking is a lot of math and science. And so just, you know, introducing dough into that and then changing the variables with different, you know, types of dough, and then changing the dough with different, like, can you make it a cookie that can support, like, you can make it into an engineering challenge. You know, how would you have to, you know, manipulate your dough to make it support, like, a long thin cookie versus a short fat cookie? Like, you've got structural integrity in there, and then you get to, you know, eat cookies at the end of it. But like, obviously that's meant to be repeated. The more times that you experiment, you're not just learning like a cooking skill, and you're not just learning an art skill with the shapes, but you've got, like I said, spatial awareness, structural integrity, baking, science, chemical reactions. Like, all these things really, like, obviously we know that these things like play into learning, but I think as adults, we kind of forget to ask the who, what, when, where, whys of it all. And so again, like, not that it's like, you know, patronizing anyway, but like just kind of having the fun joy pointed out with a different perspective. Like, hey, did you know that when you do this, you're learning these things? You know, it kind of invigorates it and brings like the fun back into it. And that's what I want the monsters to do. Like, you know, the title of all of these is the monsters. Like, they're always constantly thinking. They're always out there exploring. You know, they're always kind of just helping you see things from like this different perspective. And so, yeah, I have I have the two books out, The Food and the Art. Obviously, the art one was like, I don't want to say the easiest for me to write, because actually, like, having to distill everything that I know about art into a 28-page children's book while still keeping it like not wordy was harder than I thought. But, you know, that was a good place for me to start. And then the food really just came naturally. It's something that I like to share with my daughter. And, you know, like, culturally, like, her dad's side of the family is Hispanic, and they love to cook. And so just like seeing how, like, you know, food is culture, food is science, food is, you know, there's a lot that goes into food. That was really fun to write about as well. And so just kind of as I expand this series, it's been fun to kind of deep dive into things that, like, yeah, I encounter every day, but like, when was the last time you thought about the who, what, when, where, why of all of these individual pieces of this cool, crazy world that we get to experience and live in. So, goodness gracious, phone. Okay. Popular today. It always happens when I'm on stream. Cool. But, yeah. I also forgot that I had a big old boba here. So yeah, if you guys have questions about the books, or, you know, where the series is going next, or even like self-publishing questions, like, I definitely like to jump into things with both feet and just sink or swim. That's kind of how I roll. So navigating the self-publishing industry was interesting. And, you know, it's definitely doable. I think it's weird because obviously there's an industry that exists. Like, you can find a publisher, and in some ways it may have been easier, but I'm a giant control freak. Like, it's like to a fault. And I really, like, not that one, like had to do it myself, but I was also super broke. And, you know, like, even like landing like a deal, I still would have to pay like an agent and a publicist. And I'm like, I've got a degree in marketing. I can do this. So there's, you know, there's definitely like stubbornness, and then there's definitely like control freak. And then there's also just like, well, you know, I'm a mom and I'm trying to just do this grassroots, and, you know, I'd run artist alley tables and stuff. And I'm like, I think I can do this, but like book flavored. So that's how I do it. I don't currently have them for sale online. It's something I'm working with. I just incorporated an LLC. So like, they'll be up soon. I just had to redo all of that. There's a lot of like paperwork behind the scenes that's obviously not as fun as all the art. But, you know, you do what you can. But so yeah, the monsters, they're everywhere online. It's 3 M's, like, and then the word monster, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that. And I will be putting up my shop again before the holidays. I know I'm kind of cutting it close, but that's what I'm definitely I need a kick in the pants kind of person. And so, like, having to get back into it to do this little boutique for my kiddo's school is like, oh, well, you know, if I'm getting stuff out, I need to, you know, put it online and get everything kind of spruced back up and out there. And like I said, I had kind of taken a break just because of the state of the world. And, like, I didn't need to, like, contribute to, like, the postal slowdowns and just the, you know, shipping everything, and then I wasn't selling in person. It was just like, it was just a moment to, like, kind of pull back, recollect, and then now I can kind of start branching out slowly, because I obviously, you know, care very much about this, and I put a lot of time and money into this, and I don't want to, you know, see it, you know, stagnate. But, you know, there's also the time to, you know, quietly take a break. But, you know, it's definitely on the goals for next year is to put out the 3rd book, which will either be, and I may end up writing 2 concurrently because that's just kind of how I roll, mechanic monsters or mind monsters. Both of those have been on the mental workload for a little bit, and both of them seem really interesting. So, like, mind monsters or memory monsters, probably mind monsters. They all have to have the alliterative M title to keep with the monsters theme. Would deal with, you know, like, how memory works, and, you know, yeah, it can kind of be a, like, starter guide to mental health. And one of the reasons I put that one not, like, off, because that was definitely one of the ones I really, really, really wanted to write, but I wanted to work with a psychiatrist on that one. And then my favorite human of the psychiatrist variety, she was in the middle of a move and life was crazy for her, and so I didn't want to be like, hey, while everything's being uprooted, y'all want to write a book? And then I ended up moving and kind of uprooting, and so yeah, you know, excuses aside, it's more just like, yeah, this last couple years have been a little crazy, and things are falling back in to at least a workable, like, obviously we still need to, you know, be safe and careful and cautious, but they're getting to a point where I can, like, reach out over Zoom and try and get some collaborations in. And then, like, the mechanics one, that one kind of near and dear to my heart because I am the artist amongst a bunch of fun engineering nerds in the house. And so I wanted to kind of pick some various brains and, you know, see what they could put to it. And then if it got, like, beyond that scope, you know, like, I wanted to collaborate with, like, professionals in the field. Like, that is something that's super cool about knowing people that do things, is it doesn't have to be just me starting from, like, okay, Google, what is engineering? You know, what is mechanics? What is the difference between the two? What is, you know, what is this, that, and the other? But yeah, being able to collaborate with people that are experts, because, you know, geeks are super fun, and I want to talk to geeks about the things that make their geeky hearts happy. So it was definitely something that, you know, could be expanded upon, kind of building this whole, like, universe, this whole series, which, speaking of world building, the books do take place inside our world just because, you know, they are learning books. And so I didn't want to, like, mess with, like, well, in this world, do they still have fruits and vegetables? Do they still, you know? So there are just monsters that live alongside humans. Like, it's just how they do. So, like, they have museums and farmers markets and everything, just like we do. Because as much as I love, like, fantasy world building, like, you can't take the geek out of me. You know, I love D&D and all that. It needed to be very based in our reality for that one. So it takes place inside our world. So that took away the world building part. But, you know, it's still fun to have these, like, multi-dimensional characters that interact with our world. And obviously people write books that happen in reality all the time. That's a thing. So it was fun to put the focus into the characters and not have to worry about the world building. And the characters are really fun. Like I said, I have a background in animation. That's what I am trained in classically, and have my degree in. So I was really lucky actually. I went to Cal State Northridge. I'm based in Southern California, and what's cool about that is like everything's just like a couple hours away. Like everything cool, we've got the whole animation industry and everything here. It made my like super movie geek kid heart happy. When I was like 7 to like 15, I wanted to be a Foley artist. So like I've definitely always loved movies, but like the weird parts, like in the best way, in the very like with mad respect, the weird parts. So being an animator, like definitely made that part of me very, very, very happy. But yeah, I got to like study under like Charles Zembalis, who did the character design for all the Spyro games. So it's kind of fun to be able to do that little bit of name dropping. And it just has some amazing professors who like lived, breathed, and like blood, sweat, and tears in the animation industry, and it just feels really special. And all the connections that I've been really lucky to have in this whole animation and entertainment industry. So that's really cool. And it's been really fun taking the books around to things like CTN, the Creative Talent Network's big annual expo and everything too. Like there's a lot of neat opportunities for creatives out here. Like I don't know. I was born in California, grew up a military brat, ended up in California a bunch of times, and I'm still here in California. So like obviously you can't take the California girl out of California, but it's been good to me. So. And then it's funny too, just that like there's so many YouTubers and like Twitch streamers in California, and I'm like, I just was here before I knew what I wanted to be. So pretty funny. Okay, I got one more letter, and then what I'm gonna do is, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got these giant letters in the back. Those need a brand new coat of black paint, and then I'm gonna be making a kind of sign. Like I had kind of put these all together at one point. Like I said, this was my like traveling sign. But now it's gonna get glued like for real. Okay. And that is me being a parent. So there we go. So I had this sign be black and white, mostly because those were like the colors I could manage in a hotel room, like the day before a convention, the day before I flew in, kind of thing. But now I am very much just leaning into the fact that the books are super colorful, and that they are like LGBTQIA plus friendly. And I'm in kind of a weird more conservative area of Southern California, which happens, there's pockets. And so kind of anytime I can just be loud and out and a safe place, I like to be. It's something I'm getting more comfortable with being. And so yes, it's I mean, it's subtle in the way like rainbow can be subtle, but like if you know, you know. So and it's been, like I'm not out here to like start fights or anything, but it also has been like really good to kind of change people's mind about like, the singular they and respecting pronouns and stuff with the books, because there are definitely people that like like we met through like the local moms club, and otherwise we may not have ever run in the same circles, and they're a little bit more on that older school or conservative side, and so they never would have used a singular they pronoun, and they're fans of my work, or we've grown to know each other and be able to kind of influence and change minds. And so it's nice to see people out there using pronouns that they wouldn't have thought twice about, and knowing that I had a small part in that, it makes me happy, because then hopefully when their kids or themselves or encounter a friend, it's just normalized. We can just use pronouns with respect, and it's just a thing. Like obviously, yeah, it's a big deal, but like in the best ways, it'll get to where it's not a big deal. It's just what we do. We're just doing the things. So I mean, it's the little things, little victories, little changes in the zeitgeist. Little things. So now I'm upgrading to my full-on rainbow sign. Plus I'm an artist and I love color. And like I said, I like being a safe place. So I think also what I'm going to do, once I have the big letters painted black, and the big letters are the 3 M's, and then this is the word monsters, so monsters, like the brand. I might like put rainbow eyeballs all over. I'm deciding, like, part of me is like, oh, it probably look nice and sleek and simple with just like the black and the rainbow, and then part of me is like, but what if it had more rainbow? So we will see if it gets more rainbow. Okay. Yeah, my phone only blows up when I'm streaming. But yeah, if you're new here, I am a single mama, and I've got to check in with my co-parenting partner, and then also just my village when my baby's not with me. So it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I apologize because I don't want to be rude, but also like kind of unapologetically, you got to do what I got to do. So just letting y'all know what's going on. So okay, so I'm gonna let the first coat on these dry. Move them so it actually spells monsters, because my brain is like, even though I picked out the letters and it's my brand, I'm still like, what does it say? And I'm going to work on recoating these larger letters with the black, and they've got some damage on them. Like I said, this was my traveling sign, and it was like my cheap traveling sign. So they were in a suitcase in my shed until about an hour ago for the last 2 years. It's time has been so strange, and obviously I am, beyond grateful to be here and, safe and as healthy as I can be, and have my family be safe. I mean, like, we've lost a lot in the last 2 years. But like, it's still just weird to think about time and what's, all of that. So yeah, it's weird that I've been traveling with the books and have the books and have been a self-published author for like 3 years, and 2 of them is stuff like sat in a shed. So I was really blopping. Okay. It was really my main thing right before all this shut down, and then it had to be backburnered, and it's just bizarre to kind of shift everything over the last couple years. Oh, that looks so much better. Like, I don't know if you guys can see it, but these have some damage. But again, they were cheap letters to start with, and then they lived in a suitcase. So it's okay. They're getting a glow up today. They're still useful. I didn't want to throw them away. They're getting a second chance. So, they just already look so much nicer. So my the sign, it's 3 large M's. Again, the brand of my books is the monsters. So I've got 3 large M's and then the word monsters, because I didn't want them all in this large size, because sometimes I only have a like 4 to 6 foot table, and that'd be too much. And so I was just playing with scale. It was cute. So now with better colors, I think it's really getting to be something a little bit more spectacular. So that's already looking so much nicer. 1, just a higher quality paint, and 2, just getting all these scratches and everything off. And I thought about putting on an apron like a responsible grown-up before I started painting, but I'm like, no, I didn't make that big a mess yesterday when I was painting, and I've got now like rainbow speckles on my shirt, which would be cool if they were like intentional, but I've got just enough so that I look like a hot mess. But you know what? If I'm nothing but on brand, then at least I'm consistent. Oh, this paint is so buttery. It's so nice. I actually bought this like handle of acrylic paint to black out the bus windows, because we've got some killer sunshine out here in the desert, and it was like, make it work tinting. I blacked out a bunch of the windows that were going to be covered, and just like behind my pegboard and stuff, and it made such a difference. Like, felt like a wizard. So, but I needed very high pigmented paint to be able to accomplish anything like that. So this is nice, but it's so buttery. So I'm just using this nice, like, small brush just to really... I'm doing, like, a really light coat because I want this to dry fast. And I'm really just covering up scratches at this point. I'm just getting them back to new. Like, everyone deserves a nice chance to just get cleaned up and recoup. I'm actually, like, even though, like I said, I first started taking the idea of the books, the series, the kind of little brand. I took it first to DesignerCon back in 2015. Yes, 2015. And I did a Kickstarter to get the first book published, self-published. And also just, like, I really love the kind of lowbrow, underground, vinyl toy designer plush world that, like, DesignerCon, like, really is the home of. And if you're unfamiliar with DesignerCon, it's a convention in Los Angeles area, Anaheim. It's been around, where, yeah, it's very just, like, you know, lowbrow, kind of where, like, skate art meets, graffiti meets vinyl toys meets designer toys. And, you know, it's where, like, you know, you'll see, like, Ugly Dolls and, I'm, like, totally blanking, like, you know, Paul Frank, all these really cool, like, super indie character designers that just make cool shit, you know, Gary Baseman, and really neat people who just make cool art objects. And I've always wanted to, you know, like, produce some of my own, like, vinyl toys, and had a really cool opportunity to be involved in the, like, registration and mild curation of a vinyl toy show at the museum I worked in. And, like, it's just, like, a big chunk of my life. And so, like, knowing that the art style of the books fit that kind of style, and then also, like, kind of being able to bring in the, like, next generation, it was like, I'm here making, like, baby's first decon. It was really fun. And, like, I took my daughter after she was born to DesignerCon, and, like, it's great. You know, it doesn't, like, yeah, there are objects, but, like, I don't know, you know, you've got, like, some camps of people that are like, oh, don't open the toys, they're collectibles. And then you've got, like, other people who, like David Horvath, who is the designer of the Ugly Dolls. If you're unfamiliar, go check them out. They're amazing. Like, literally in the boxes, there's, like, hidden messages that are like, hey, you opened your toys, you're a cool person. You know, like, these are play objects. They're toys. And so it's like, there's some really cool, like, ideologies, and just, like, kind of like, what is art? What is a toy? What are art toys? What are designer toys? But really, it's just, like, a bunch of cool artists with neat visual styles making cool shit, and, you know, making it fun. And so, like, I had, you know, that style, just, you know, like, lowbrow art style, and it was really fun to kind of take it to places, all these conventions, and, you know, see all these neat artists and just be part of it. So, all right, see, that looks so much better, like, compared to this one with, like, literal paint missing. Oh boy, this one has a dent in it. That's fun. Okay, so I'm gonna put a coat on these, and then I'm gonna attach them to my base, and then if they need a second coat after I've, like, glued them, then I'll get that for them. Oh, that looks so much better. So much better. Oh, that's mostly dust. That's fun. Give me a second. Like I said, these were in a suitcase in my shed, because not only did, like, the world shut down, but, like, I moved, and I'm trying to just get my head back on. Like, I do a lot. Again, that's kind of the joke. That's why I go by Catherine Everything, is you can't make me choose anything, and I just love to try everything. I wear a lot of hats, but I also just don't know how to do otherwise. But, like, this is something that's really important, and, you know, just because I try a lot of things doesn't mean I don't, like, put good love and time into things that I do. But, you know, when life gets in the way, or you just have to make choices, like, obviously I wasn't going to travel with my children's books during, like, the height of this pandemic. And I'm still not going anywhere outside of my bubble. You know, so this is a small local event that's raising money for the charter that helps us homeschool. So, but it's still like terrifying to me to be getting back out there, like at all in any capacity, both just like health wise and then also just the fact that I haven't done this in 2 years. This used to be like my life, and it's weird to feel rusty at something that like was so just every day. But we're all growing and changing and relearning how to do. So that's where I am with it. Cool. More paint. Wash the pants. Goodness gracious. But yeah, it's been a trip. So it's also just exciting to, like I said, to get back out there and really to start kind of shifting the mental gears back into this energy. Because if you're just jumping on, I'm seeing the numbers go up and down. If you're just jumping on, I have a series of self-published children's books where I put the first book out 3 years ago, and then the second book came out pretty rapidly afterwards, and then like everything locked down. So I haven't been able to like put anything into these in like 66% of the time that they've been out. And that's hard. Like obviously when we first like had no idea how long this was going to last, like I did my best to like share activities from the books for free and like keep posting as the monsters and everything. And not that like I couldn't keep up with it, but then I had some life stuff happen and I ended up moving and just really kind of changing life trajectories. And so now it's good to have an excuse to get back into it. Like I say a lot of times, like I don't need permission, but it's nice to have an excuse or a kick in the butt, to get back into something. Like sure, I good intentions and everything, but I do have ADHD. I am a single mom. I've got a lot going on, just even in my art practice. So sometimes having like, hey, you want to support local education and sell your children's book is a good excuse to get back into it. And a good reason. So that's where I am. But of course, getting everything back out again and like it was like meeting my characters again after a long time. I felt like I'd been, kind of quarantine away from them too. I just hadn't seen them. I hadn't worked with them. So it's nice to have them back with me. And it's nice to be able to talk about them here on stream too. Because like I've done a little bit of work with the brand on like my YouTube channel. But I also know that like, because I do so many kind of disparate things that not every market overlaps. And so like, if you know me for my kind of like cottagecore type costumey work, you might not actually know that I wrote a, STEM children's book. And I get that. And like, so especially if you don't have like small humans in your life or are not a connoisseur of, learning, academic children's media, you may not be as interested. And so like one of the things I'm trying to do is just close the gap between the things that I do, and just be like, hey, this is me. I do all of this. I had tried to keep them separate. Good gravy. Words are hard, guys. I had tried to keep them separate just because I thought it was neater or more palatable, to, not be so like, hey, this is everything. But it just made it harder for me, and then it's easy to like have things fall off my plate if they're not all on there. Like, so this is me. This is everything I do. I am an artist, a costume maker, a mom, an educator, a children's book illustrator, a sculptor, an artist, and a little nerd who has a school bus where I like to chat with awesome people on the internet, make things, occasionally play video games, and occasionally have, breakdowns over plants or fictional characters. So, welcome. Bring this over a little bit. I keep kind of migrating. Oop, I've still got tape all over this too. So this is kind of healing too, because like symbolically, it's nice to like both literally and symbolically kind of dust this project back off and give it some polish. I think sometimes that's just a good way to kind of get back into the headspace. Is be like, you know what, I had to take my break, but now I'm giving you the attention you deserve. I'm polishing you back up, and there's no time like the present. Like, I could spend a lot of time being stressed about like, oh, I can't believe I didn't touch this for this long. And, you know, I'm not saying I don't. I'm not saying I'm not a raging ball of anxiety 24/7. But it's also the like, okay, well, life got crazy. I couldn't do it. What am I going to do about it? Am I going to be sad that I didn't do it? Or am I just going to jump back in and, you know, kind of just learn to stop apologizing for having to live, you know, like things happen. And it's just how it goes. I need a little bit more paint. Blurb. So, you know, it has been really fun to get on stream and, you know, start new projects, finish projects. Oh, I finished a quilt last night on stream, and that just felt so good. So good. You know, it's something that I had every intention on finishing, but it was way more fun when I could, you know, chat with y'all, and I don't know, good people. But also, you know, like, I think as a mom and just a recovering guilty people pleaser, it's hard for me to put myself first, and so like making this like my job, and then like coming out and just having dedicated studio time has been something that like is so important. And it's not that I didn't take this seriously before. I just, you know, tried to squeeze it and relegate it to, you know, weird hours of the night, and I always kind of put it last, and that's not how you build what you need to build. You know, like obviously when my daughter was like an infant, I took any second that I could get because there's no scheduling. Especially she was medically fragile, and stuff too, and there's no scheduling around that. Like, you just exist. But now that we're hanging in a little bit better and sitting a little prettier, it's okay to schedule things. And yeah, I still got to keep in contact with her, and things happen. But at least there's an attempt. Attempts are being made to put this first. Not even first, just to put it in its own, you know, to say, hey, I can have this as a job, and I'm allowed to do things. So, thanks for being with me. Alright, so these look so much nicer. I need more table space. If you're new here, I work in a reclaimed school bus. My schoolie, his name is Art. My Art schoolie. And, which was my channel name. I'm in the middle of a rebrand. That's a whole thing. But Art is a short bus, and as such, there's only about 100 square feet in here, which, I mean, I'm super grateful for every single inch, but sometimes it gets a little tight, especially because the back third of that space is now where I homeschool my kiddo, so I have a third less space to spread out all my, so, alright, this is also filthy. But luckily mostly just dusty. So I bought this wall shelf thinking it'd be good for my booth to kind of prop the books out on, you know, kind of serve as a bookmark. Like, it's a floating, let me get it all on camera. It's a floating shelf. So it's like super cute for all those like Pinterest book displays. It is not so good for when people are handling said books like multiple times, you know, in short, rapid successions. So I think I'm going to repurpose it for this, because it's not doing it as it was originally planned, but that's okay. You know, like, everyone's allowed to learn and grow, and we waste not, want not, we'll use it for something else. So I'm going to turn to everyone's either favorite or least favorite tool, which is the hot glue gun. But I've got some really nice quality glue sticks here. These are the Gorilla Glue. And this is just, of course, my personal recommendation. I am not sponsored, unless you're out there, Gorilla Glue. But these things just work the best. Where I live, it can get up to 120 degrees Fahrenheit, just casually. So I need hot glue that like actually is gonna stay. So what I'm gonna do. Cool. I want to put the three M's, and then we're gonna put the word monsters up in front here. I'm gonna get a little awkward with it because that's also on brand for me. So. And today's gonna be a short stream, most likely, just because one, I'm just working on this, and two, because I actually have to go set up for the aforementioned craft fair here in a couple hours. So I'm going to keep it nice and short. Tomorrow I am doing something different because I will be out. I will not have my normal Saturday stream. So if you're not already in my Discord, there is a link on my profile. Please, I know you can't see my face right now. Please go join my Discord. It's where I obviously announce changes to schedule, but also where you guys can connect and you guys can like share your faces and your photos in a way that we can't do here on Twitch, it's been really great getting to know you guys in that respect. But yeah, so watch the Discord for schedule changes, but tomorrow I will not be doing my regular crafting stream because I will be selling my books. But I am starting something new. I'm kind of calling it Star Wars Saturday just because of the game I'm going to be starting with, but if you don't know, I am a giant Star Wars geek, and it's something that's always been near and dear to my heart. But KOTOR, the Knights of the Old Republic, got released for Switch like 2 weeks ago, and which in like Twitch time is forever ago, and people might already be sick of it, but too bad. I have not played KOTOR since I was in middle school. And middle school, whoever had a good time in middle school, but like middle school was not a good time for me, and so I want to kind of reclaim the game and the headspace, and I'm going to be playing KOTOR on every other Saturday. So if that's not your cup of tea, feel free to skip it. I will still do my regular scheduled arts and crafts things on my other days, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up about that. So I know it's hard because you guys have the top angle and I have this weird side angle here, and my boba, which I'm not going to spill. But I'm just going to try it and get a good view at this, because perspective is kind of messy up here. And I think I'm going to off-center these, and I might use my silhouette and cut out one of my characters. So I am playing with the layout best I can here. And I'm just going to go for it too, because, it cannot be worse than the literal duct tape mess that it was like 20 minutes ago. So that's the fun thing. And sometimes you just got to jump in and be like, you know what? I can't make it worse than it already was. I'm already recycling this. Sometimes you just gotta go and try. So that's where we are. So I am using, again, Gorilla Glue hot glue. I find that this stuff works really well. Really well for not only like kind of standing up to all the nonsense that I'm going to put things through, but also the triple digit temperatures that I get where I live. So it's like a whole nother level of crafting when it gets below freezing and then gets up to 120. I learned the hard way you can't like leave Warble and stuff in your car around here. So oh well, live and learn. I'm really excited. It's one of those things where, like, I hadn't been able to give this sign like the attention it deserved, and now I can, and it's like, wow, this actually looks pretty good. Like, imagine that. Imagine an artist that like knows their brand, like can make a thing that looks decent. I, shouldn't. I was talking about that in my last YouTube video, where it's like I shouldn't be surprised that I can like make things, because that's like literally what I do. But on the other hand, I don't want to lose that like fascination with making things, because like if I lose that, then like, well, I don't want to like I said, be like amazed and be like, wow, I actually made this. But I think sometimes I just need to be more confident and be like, yeah, you made this. You know this. You've been doing this for 20 years. You can be more confident. But that's hard. Confidence is hard. I mean, I've already come so far from where I like used to be, but old habits, man. Old habits. Alright, so I know this is at a really weird angle for you guys, so I will turn this around in just a second. As soon as I kind of get some stuff on. But big picture, I'm gluing on the rainbow letters so they spell the word monster. And I had to check that. I was going to do them in a random rainbow order, and then I'm like, you know what? My brain's going to want to put them in rainbow order, so I better make sure that like I put them and so that it actually spells what I want it to spell, because that would be really embarrassing if I spelled my own brand wrong. So the brand and the logo is actually 3 capital M's and then a series of ellipses, so ... and then the word monsters. So I don't have ellipses out of these big cardboard letters. And so I did leave space because I want to put them in here somehow. Just not sure how to yet. But at least by kind of leaving room for them visually, I can go back in. Like, it'd be kind of cute to, in the logo, the ellipses are actually 3 of the characters' heads. It would be kind of fun to, like, maybe take epoxy sculpt or something and actually, like, sculpt out the characters. Which I say as I'm, like, looking at the clock going, do I have time to do that before settle? But I feel like artists, like, let me know in chat if you're the same way, but like you get your best ideas obviously when you're in the flow, and then a lot of times you're in the flow like as things are coming up on a deadline, because that's when you get time to work on them. And so then it always kind of feels like you're like coming up with ideas at 0 hour, and I'd love to escape that cycle, but sometimes I can only give things the attention that they can have when it's time for their attention to be given, and that's all you get. So it's a kind of a tricky, trying to find a middle ground to give everything the attention it deserves is a hard one. Very scientific there, and you saw that. Okay. Oh, it's a beast. I should say it's a monster. Let me not smack myself in the face. But look at that. So if I have space right here where you can see my fingies, for the ellipses, like boop, 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 and then I can get an exclamation point on this thing. Now I got a big sign. Oh, this is exciting. So I definitely, let me place this down. I can definitely see some places that need a little bit more touch-up paint. I also want to see if it can handle doing that. I can. Very, very scientific and rigorous testing here at Catherine Everything. Only the finest can I drop it and have it still be okay. So I'm kind of like caulking. I don't know if there's a actual name for this, but it feels the most like putting in caulk. Where I like to take my hot glue and like run it along a seam and really get it in there. Sure it up. But that's what I'm going to do along the back. Again, no one's going to see this, but it's also clear, so. There we go. And then that gives me a little bit more play for when I probably drop this. Because I'm not a disaster. I'm just, sometimes I'm a hot mess. And honestly, when you're like running a booth by yourself, and you're balancing 6 things, and it's hot and windy, and you gotta make sure that things are stable. And you know what? I run a booth for kids, and somebody's gonna run into this, and so I got to make sure that it can handle one or two little monsters running into it. Because like I don't want them getting hurt, and I don't want to be fiddling with signs because I made a bad sign. So I like to kind of bang it around as I'm working because it's gonna get banged around in its life. So I'm blopping out a little bit more black paint out of my like jug. I don't know, this size of acrylic paint just kind of cracks me up. Like obviously super practical and more economic, but it's just, yeah, it's big chug, big gulp there. So I'm just taking the same black paint and going along the edges that I hadn't previously gotten, just to make sure it's all nice and neat. This is glossy. No, it's like a semi-gloss. I'm debating. I kind of like it. The little frame thing, the shelf that I purchased, it's got like distress marks on the front, like it's wood, and then it's like rustic, which again, time and place. And I've debated painting over them a bunch, but I don't know. They kind of line up under the letters now, and it looks purposeful. Plus, again, you know, I run a booth for kids, and someone's probably gonna knock into it, so it already being like pre-distressed probably saves it from looking really dorky if it gets like knocked down. So that's what we call working with what we got. So yeah, just adding little bits of paint on any of the like bits that maybe weren't as polished before. And the back is, back's not super, but again, this is going just on my table. Big sign. Just something nice and bright. I've got, you know, like some kind of like Vistaprint banners and stuff that come with me, and I'll definitely post in the Discord how the booth comes together, because that's always really fun. That's one of the things I like seeing in like Artist Alley groups and stuff, is like how everyone's booth comes together, especially like people with way different aesthetics than me. All right, that's called maneuvering in a small space and not taking out your mic with your giant sign. Especially people who's like aesthetically they're like the opposite of me. I just love seeing their booth because it's like, I don't know how I would have designed that, but I love your like super, you know, super like, you know, like especially like the pastel goth type of booths and stuff. It's like, that is so cute and like got spooky bats and I love it. So yeah, I was like, booth design, it's just such an extension of branding, and you know, and then it's so tangible, and it's, I don't know, conventions are fun in that like respect. Just like, if you've never really thought about it, like walk around the Artist Alley and just see the personalities that people are able to put into their booths, and like that's come such a long way. I remember like, you know, kind of what like the standard anime booth looked like back in the day, and then like just how endlessly customizable they are now. And you know, it's really, you know, it is an extension. You are selling a brand, and you know, putting it out there, and you want to be distinguishable from, you know, 400 plus other vendors, and people are rocking it. Like one of my best friends, she's also an artist. She has really, really cool work. I will drop her stuff in the Discord too. But she has like a plaid fall leaf like aesthetic, and it's so opposite my like aggressively academic rainbow aesthetic. So it's always really funny when we like share a table, because there's a very clear delineation, but it's so fun, and like it's fun to like shop for each other's booths and stuff too, because it's like, this has leaves on it, it's perfect for you. And then she can be like, I saw something that had like pencils and school supplies, and I'm like, yes. So it's really, really fun to do the booth thing. Which on that too, if you guys have questions about like running a booth at an anime con, like I got some years under my belt. I have done a little bit of everything. And like I said, I just really haven't been in the last couple years because of the pandemic. So but it is fun to get back into it. So in chat, InkRabbit12 is actually one of the co-creators and one of the character designers on the Monsters team. And so I will also put his information in the Discord. And so yeah, I am excited about seeing them come out to play too. It's been weird. I don't know how long you've been here on the chat, but yeah, just talking about like only being 3 years into the journey and having 2 of them be paused is a weird place to be schedule wise. So it's nice to get back into the headspace and think about writing that 3rd book in 2022, which sounds so far off, but goodness gracious, it's not. Okay. Wow, that pen is not straight. Cool. All right, that's okay. Neither am I. All right, so I'm gonna lay it down and not take out my filming equipment. So if you can see it now, it is subtle, but there's like distress marks. Do you guys think I should keep those or paint it all black? Because I can't decide. Because like I kind of like the wood look. It definitely breaks up the monotony and sets the wood aside from the letters. And then, you know, if it does get knocked around, then it's already pre-distressed. I don't know. And then while I've got you guys' attention, do you think I should put rainbow monster eyeballs on the M's, or should I leave them black? I've got a lot of color on the booth as it is. But I can't resist, like, rainbow eyeballs. Because, like, all the characters have different style eyeballs. And so, like, that's one of the things that's really fun for me to paint. And I already have to get back out all the different colors because these need a second coat. So it's like, oh no, I have paint. I gotta do something with it. But I'm also terrified of, like, overdoing it in the way that it just looks, like, cheesy. So, what do you guys think? Oops. I wish I could do polls. Maybe when I have my stream set up a little bit better, I can put in a poll. But I don't know. Rainbow eyeballs or keep it plain? All right, 1 vote for plain. I knew you were going to say that too. There is something like, okay, so then if I keep it plain, should I sculpt the 3 character heads to make the logo, like the ... Yeah? Because then I can paint them like on model. I think that would satisfy. Okay. All right. Thank you, team. Okay, so what's going to happen is I've got this big sign. Now, let me move things for 2 seconds. Ah, laser cut. Yes. I do have a laser cutter. Laser cut would be kind of cute, but they're always so thin, and the characters are delicate. I don't know. I think because I have room, I've like literally got 6 inches of depth here. That like having the characters like tactile. I don't know. I've got one of the characters, and they're a little broken, so be gentle, be kind to them. This is Pi. Normally, Pi has a big ol' like bleh tongue, but it broke in the move. I'm sorry, baby. So like having the characters like modeled, like, should I just fix Pi up and put him on the sign? Laser cut could be a good base. No, I'm feeling that. I'm feeling that. Build up from there. Yeah, you know what? You're right, except, and not to make an excuse, but I'd have to probably turn off the stream, go make that, and then, like, I don't know. Should I just fix up Pi and actually bring him out to events again? Like my little baby? He's cute. I mean, they're cute. They're cute. Cute. Plus, they could definitely use a new coat of paint. That is for sure. I think while you guys debate that one, I'm gonna at least fix this baby up. Their tongue needs to be like scraped and redone, and they need a coat of paint. So I got paint out, which is normally how this works. If you are new here, we normally take a venture into many art mediums and kind of just roll with where it goes. There's a lot of gunk on it. This is one. All right, I'm gonna stand up and get some tools. So I'll take my mic with me on a little tour. So I also want to do a bus tour at some point because I know you guys can't see where I am, and it's cool because I got all my tools over here, and y'all can't even see it. But we're working on getting some more cameras set up so I can, not have to drag things awkwardly. So when that happens, be ready, be excited. This is definitely a work in progress. I think that's how just things go. One, I can put into it nicely and just not have to worry about doing it all at once, because that is so intimidating, so ridiculously intimidating to be like, okay, well, you want to play, here's the entry point, and here's how much it's going to cost, and it's like, nah, I just want to make things. So it's always a work in progress around here. The bus is like my biggest, like, always project. So I was talking about that on stream last night, where we put in floors and we put in insulation, and I have lights. It's like, wow, imagine not living like it's 1880. Even though I love that aesthetic to death. Everything's a work in progress. So in chat, do you still have the SSS puppet, which is the nickname for Sneaky Snacky Snake? We have a character named Snickly is their name, and they are a monster who disguises themselves and steals your snacks, especially when you're out, like, on the trail. They love trail mix. I do still have the puppet. I am actually bringing them to the boutique tomorrow. So that's going to be fun. Like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't do things small. So, like, when I have a booth, I have, like, a puppet and banners and just, a photo backdrop, because I like to have fun. I like to make things. I like to just, make puppets and make figures and have fun with it, because it's like, I think the biggest thing I've learned is, like, if you're out there having fun doing something, people can tell. And if you're having fun, they want to have fun, because who doesn't want to have fun? And so, like, that's really how I like to market and how I like to do things, is just going out and having a blast. So I am fixing up Pi. Pi here was actually the very, very, very first character that I developed for the book series back. Hello, suspicious noise from the ceiling. Back when I was in university, Pi here was part of a group called Pi and His Mathematical Friends, and I knew I wanted to do something educational, and so they were all named after, like Pi, like the mathematical construct, and just different math things. And obviously that has expanded to now be all subjects, which is super cool. But Pi is obviously very, very near and dear to my heart, kind of being like the OG monster. And so this was an attempt at a vinyl toy, actually resin, as an attempt at a designer toy. There we go. That would be a better definition here. And so this was kind of, I made a silicone mold and cast up Pi here. But this one, being kind of the original, and then being quite old at this point, has seen some action. So like their arm here is a little bit broken, and so I'm just taking epoxy sculpt, which I'm sure it was around back then. It's not like it didn't exist, but it definitely was not in my wheelhouse back when I was doing this kind of work. And so that's what's fun about just following so many different artists. Is I learned about epoxy sculpt through the doll customizing world. So now I can use it on my designer toy that's cast out of resin that, was something I learned from, like, cool people at DesignerCon. And, like, it all just, learning never ends, and I think that's the best part of it. So I definitely like to continue to learn and play and grow. I'm just smoothing out. What's great about the epoxy sculpt is that it is reactive to water in the way that if you put water on it, you can smooth it out. So let me get where you guys can see. Sorry, sometimes I just get in my own little world. I'm repairing the arm joint here. The epoxy sculpt will cure in a couple hours, and then it will be sandable and paintable, and really strong. Probably the strongest part on this. So as I'm looking at the very cracked arms, if you can see, little booty, you can see that there's definitely damage on this, and that happens. But we're fixing things. We're fixing ourselves. We're fixing up projects. We're getting things finished. And that's honestly, like, just, that's all I can do. Also in chat, you and Little Sprout really like milking that boba. Yeah, I love to take a giant drink, like this huge boba, and just spend all day drinking it. It's an experience now. Like, I don't know. I don't know why I love that so much. That, and I get wildly distracted, and, you know, it's nice to kind of have the ever-present company of the drink that I am milking / neglecting. Alright, it's gonna look messy, especially because I have paint on my hands, which I definitely could have washed off, but I don't know, this is already gonna have to be primed. Their little arms feel so much more secure. Okay, so now, the main feature, I guess, if you were to boil down this character, Pi has this very long tongue that is always out. When you talk about, like, character design and stuff, you make up these, like, character bibles where it's like, if they have a unique animated element, or they have something that's like, okay, no matter how you draw them, this has to be like this. Like Mickey Mouse, for example. His ears, even though he's drawn in 2D and his ears would normally change in perspective, they're always circles. Always circles. Like, go look at Mickey Mouse. His ears are always circles no matter how he's facing. And so that's something that, like, if you're animating him, you need to be aware of, because you wouldn't want to turn his head in, like, real 3D space. Because, whoops, that's not how people are going to recognize the character. That's not how the character is drawn. So it's important, one, like, just to know your characters in that respect. But, like, yeah, Pi and their twin sibling, Rhomb, they both have these tongues that hang out of their mouths, like, regardless if they're talking, it's just the tongue is always out. It is their unique animated element. But it's just, I should grab a pencil or something and draw, because a picture's worth 1,000 words, and I happen to at least masquerade as an artist. And I do have a pen. So, let's see, where can you guys even see? If I scribble, can you guys see that? No. Okay. 2 seconds. Oh, you know what? I've got my books right here, I think. Yes. Take that, marketing degree. So this is Pi's sibling, Rhomb. So you can see the tongue. Pi is right here in the... So these are all the characters. So I'm actually just going to leave that open while I talk, because what better visual than the actual book? So yeah, if you guys have questions about the book, what I'm doing right now is obviously making a sign that says Monsters for my book series, the Monsters. This is Muse Monsters, the first in the series. Ink Rabbit, I do have books on hand. I got there. The chat is sometimes slower than you guys see. It takes a second for me to get the messages. There's always a bit of a delay. So I'm just going to pretend that I did get there before you pointed it out, so... It's like I'm a true marketing professional here. I'm also distracted and looking for something, so give me 2 seconds to get my brain back on. There we go. I needed a knife of exact 0. So, I am fixing up the sign. I just gave it a fresh coat of paint and re-glued it properly, and now I'm working on an old in the, like, you know, best, like, hey, an old friend, an old vinyl or resin toy that I had cast many years ago when we were first taking the book series kind of on its first publicity tour. So I'm fixing up that toy here. So this is one of the characters, Pi. Pi was the first character to join the cast way back when I was a university student and developing these characters for my character design class. So I may need an armature for this. I'm really trying to push this material beyond what it's supposed to do. And make it stay. So we're gonna test this out. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, that's what art is about for me. Honestly, is pushing a lot of bounds and just seeing what works and what doesn't. So. And remembering that epoxy sculpt is water reactive so that we can get a very nice smooth seam. And also remembering that I am going to be painting this, so. So you can see the characters really getting there. And epoxy sculpt, you got to remember too that in the first hour, you are just attempting to have a decent bond and then a basic general shape. And in hours 2 and 3, you can come in and refine the details. So like on Pi's tongue, I want them to have like that, like tongue ridge. I don't know. Very scientific here. And then also they have, so there's the line that visually goes down the center of the tongue. And then when I'm doing really detailed like close-up character illustrations of them, they also have like bumps on their tongue. And I don't, in every like panel of the book put that many details, but obviously like when you're sculpting, it's an opportunity to, really push those details that you may not ordinarily get to share. So I'll be putting those on. I'm also hoping to have gravity really just do a lot of the work for me here on the like pull of the tongue, because it'll look as natural as it can if it just hangs the way that it hangs. So I got to set it down. I know that probably doesn't make for the most interesting viewing angle for you guys, and I do apologize for that. This was not what I had on the schedule today, so I did not set up cameras for sculpting, but like I said, that's kind of just how this channel goes, where we work on something and then jump around. So I had my painting set up today. But this little toy, like I said, I made kind of during my designer con days, which, like, I don't want to say it like those are over because I love designer con. But, just in the vinyl toy world, this is just something that a style that you would see, and I love kind of merging like my 2D work and my 3D work, and it's fun. It's fun. I have fun with what I do. So. And of course, there's this silly little paintbrush hair. I'm also low-key keeping an eye on my time today. My stream schedule is all over the place this weekend because I am running a booth at a little boutique for my kiddos' school and selling my books. So I won't be doing my normal Saturday stream. I'm just kind of PSA here. Join my Discord if you'd like to be kept in the loop of what's going on schedule-wise. But I will be doing my first Star Wars Saturday tomorrow, which is my, like, Catherine's unapologetic nerd time. Just to break it up. Like, I love arts and crafts very, 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 very much. But sometimes you just gotta play a video game from your middle school days and reclaim it back to heal. So that's what we're doing tomorrow. And I am quite excited for it. So, all right. Well, now Pi has a tongue, and I'm sure they're happy about it. I love his little booty. And that I think if this dries in time, I will attach it there. And I think I like the idea of doing the proper logo ellipses for this sign. But that involves getting the laser cutter out, which is always fun. I'm always down for an excuse to get out the laser cutter. But I have to leave very, very soon. So I am pushing things to kind of the deadline. And now I have some extra epoxy sculpt. which isn't a bad thing, but I'm done with pie. So I'm going to jump over and grab my Christmas project that I'm working on, which if you were with my stream yesterday, you are familiar. Cool, everything's sticking together because it's hot. For being December, it is hot here. So I'm going to add to this project, which, again, if you were with me last night, is the start of the snowman, goodness gracious, koala Santa on the present stack. So now that first pass of epoxy's dried, like you can really hear how hard that is. So that's how hard it'll get over on pie there. Just it's a really crazy sculpting material that has zero shrinkage. It just air dries. It's kind of wizardry. So I'm going to use this extra epoxy sculpt because I've got it mixed up and I don't want to waste time or materials. So I've got stuff out and I'm going to make a koala face. And this stuff is cool because it's, I like to use it very additively. So adding to my sculpture versus subtractive, where you would like carve away. Just because it sticks to itself really nicely. And let me skip to where you guys can actually even see what the heck I'm doing. There we go, that's a little better. Wow, that looks like a snowman in the way that it looks kind of lumpy. I knew this would be the hardest part of the project, and I almost debated on like even taking this part on. But, we try things for people that we love, and what that means, I guess, is trying to build a koala Santa, even though I'm not like an animal sculptor. It's okay. If we don't try, we don't grow. I'm probably going to stream for, another 10 minutes. I know that's not very long. It's been kind of a short stream today. Appreciate you guys jumping in. Any time spent with you guys is definitely worth spending, and I really appreciate you guys are happy to come on board the bus, because like I always say, the bus's doors are open anytime. You're always welcome on board the bus. And it's great to see you guys here. So... What all that pie here is going to take is just fresh coat of paint, pink tongue, red body, kind of nothing like too crazy. So not to say I don't feel like I need to stream that, but it's more just it is what it is. And I've got to go set up. So I'm still super like nervous-sighted about kind of going back out into the wild. Because it's been a while. It's been a hot minute. So, I'd say it's like riding a bike, except I don't have a bike. I can ride a bike. I just don't currently own a bicycle. So can you guys hear the music anymore? I think the music went out. Pretzel's been giving me issues, so... I always want to make sure that it's a comfortable space for you guys as well. So if the music is ever too quiet or too loud, let me know. I definitely have my own personal issues with like too loud of sound. So I tend to err on the side of caution and probably have it too low. But, you guys let me know. This is your space as well as mine. Okie dokie. Koala. Oh, they're so cute. I'm pulling up a reference photo. And that's the thing. I remember, like, back in the early days of, like, being an artist, I always like, oh, I don't need references. References are copying. If you can't do it from your